Okay, hi, this is Jeff, and we're going to be doing a demonstration here on the read aloud portion of Reading Apprentice. And so I've got Bryce and Kate with me here, and we're going to be reading about the importance of construction estimating. So as the instructor, I'm going to start out to read, and at the same time give my feedback and general comments. This idea of the expert about the discipline of what we're studying here, which is the estimating discipline, hopefully getting the students some contextual idea of what I'm thinking when I read the text here that we have with us here tonight. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, this is the importance of construction estimating. In that a contractor usually must warrant a firm price on a distinct project designed by an independent and unrelated third party. Well, just right there, what I'm thinking and what makes this kind of interesting and very valid when it comes to the construction industry is that, well, first of all, this word unique is apropos in this application because the contractor is trying to take information and put a cost estimate on something that is designed and created by another party, right? Someone else is giving them information to which they need to make a prediction on what it's going to cost. And they haven't even been involved in that. So the idea of having zero ownership in a concept or an idea, which they haven't really participated in developing, is a little bit risky in putting together a cost estimate or a price on that. So to further the discussion, with that in mind, right, designed, I say, by a third party, which is not part of the reading here, but a third party, which is an independent party, an unrelated third party, before starting the work. So we're putting an estimate together to something that is just an idea. And that we must then, if giving that estimate and then giving the project, right? It says here, we must execute the project in an uncontrolled environment. So two things there that play. One is a contractor would put together a cost estimate to a set of plans that have, or ideas that have been developed by a third party, not related to them. That's a risky event because they didn't participate in the development of those plans. Okay, but you're putting a cost estimate to something like that. So you better be pretty good at being able to read plans and blueprints and putting that information together. Further, then, is that you put the cost estimate together, and let's say you get that information, you get that project. Now I'm going to award you a contract. I want you to build it. There's a great deal of risk there because you've just put together a bid proposal that now is a contract that has a cost that you put together on it that you will build in what they call an uncontrolled environment. Uncontrolled being that when you put the bid together, you kind of have an idea what that environment's going to be, but it's not out of your control. You're kind of predicting how this project, this construction cost estimate, this project that you will build this building, how it will unfold in this environment. But it's an environment you have no control over. So you're making assumptions of best guesses on the best environment for your project to be built in. So the idea to think about and how this is very interesting about the importance of construction estimating is just how important construction estimating is because you're taking a great deal of risk in putting together a cost estimate on information that really is just an idea that you didn't participate in the development of that idea. So you don't know much about it other than the fact that it's general information. You're expert in building and constructing this idea in an environment that is uncontrolled. So you're taking a great deal of risk in putting cost estimates to putting together a project, which when it comes to contracting, when it comes to estimating, when it comes to construction management, you find out that this whole estimating thing, you better be pretty darn good at it in order to capture and get projects. And so just in that first paragraph, further to that, it says the architect and engineer, who usually has a design contract with the owner, may never have been involved directly with the procurement or the execution of the project, and the constructability of the design may be seriously deficient. So you're getting information from a third party. Idea, put together estimate. As far as you know, with your expertise, you may be able to identify some deficiencies, but most often than not, that unrelated third party is an architect engineer who's giving you information and say, hey, bid this work, right? And you bid this work, it may have a deficiency in there that you're not aware of. Again, kind of that uncontrollable element to it, which again makes the idea of putting together an estimate very, very important and very, very risky in the projects that you put together in construction. And I don't think many people think about that, right? We kind of think about construction, we do estimate. The fact of the matter is you're taking on a great deal of risk when you take that chance of forecasting or predicting how a project not only will cost, but how it will unfold by schedule and how you will develop that in an uncontrolled environment. And so that's where the contractor's expertise comes in, is they understand what they're getting themselves into. They understand the risk and the fact that they have the ability to take an uncontrolled environment and be able to control it. So that's the value of an estimate, in a sense, of what you're producing and giving to a potential owner or client, right? Mm-hmm. So real quick then, I know we're going a little bit longer than anticipated on the reading of this first paragraph, but I wanted to kind of get your idea of this think aloud. Does this kind of help you understand maybe more to how an expert may read and look at this first paragraph? Does that help? Is it helpful? Mm-hmm. What do you think, Bryce?
Yeah, it's helpful. Because without any experience, just getting numbers and measurements and then putting prices associated with it. But when the text says that it could be an uncontrolled environment, that's basically saying you're bidding on a project that you can't quit from. That no matter what happens, you can't just throw up your hands up in the air and say, well, this is not what I signed up for, I'm walking away. That's not. So right here, it's telling you it could get bad, it could get worse, and you're going to be stuck there for the duration and basically at the price you agreed to. Yeah. So
I like that spin on it. No, that's really, you got to live with what you get, and you can't just walk away. Particularly when you're talking millions and millions of dollars of a large, let's say, building or a project that you're building. Any surprises, well, that's the risk that you take. You have to manage that surprise and carry it through. Right? Yeah. Good point. What do you think, Kate?
I'm thinking.
Is there anything there, like this word constructability of the design, that kind of in line with what Bryce said? Constructability, if you look or decide that something may not be what you expected, so in terms of the estimate, you may have estimated something and it's a surprise when you actually start to build it. This risk of constructability, right, is important to know, and contractors need to be observant of that, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So further to that paragraph, it goes on and says in bold text, as you can see, and when you see bold text often in text, what do you think that might mean? It's something important, right? And to what you kind of shared with me tonight, Bryce, as well, in kind of your expectations and reading text and working with instruction in the classroom, is that you'd like to see things come full circle. I'd like to see things summarized, and we can get better at doing that, and we can do that through kind of the way that we interpret and read and share information in class, particularly with the text, is that you can see is detailed estimating. Certainly, if they don't do a very good job of it, they're not going to be contractors for very, very long. But there's a great deal of risk in that effort in putting it together. So we need to know the importance of that and the importance of putting construction estimates together. Further to that, it says a contractor must produce a very detailed estimate, or he cannot, one, compete in a highly competitive field of endeavor. A lot of contractors out there, all taking on great risk. It's very well compensated if you do a good job at it, but it's still very competitive. 2, complete a project on time to the specified quality. And to me, specified quality means to doing it the right way with the right scope of work, right? And following through on what those plans are that you were given, and within budget. That makes perfectly good sense. And we'll be studying project management soon to talk about scope of work. Is it done in the quality way? Do we do it on time and on schedule? Did we able to build it and get it under budget, right? And the estimate actually is kind of a cornerstone for all of those pieces that are part of the project management. So the estimate feeds into a lot of management factors when we get to the point where you manage the project. So estimating not only is important to get the work and to estimate correctly, but it's important because once you get the project and it becomes contract, you use that estimate then to start to build your scopes of work, which would go to subcontractors. You start to take a baseline of the costs that you just generated and use that for cost accounting as the project begins to go forward. And so you use all of this information from the cost estimate as a basis to manage the project. Again, another important aspect of why construction estimating is so important, and to get it right? And then number 3, it says, the most obvious, we like construction estimates so we can stay in business, right? We're not a business if we can't estimate very well. So it does us no good if we are not good at detailed estimating. So I'm going to wrap that up, and I know we went a little bit over time, but I think that it was a good discussion. And I hope it helped you to hear how I'm thinking when we kind of go through and read in the text, and how an expert kind of views some of these things. So I hope that helped you out.